The Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal, sitting in Abuja, has dismissed 3 petitions filed, challenging the announcement and return of Monday Okpebolo of the All Progressives Congress as winner of the September 21, 2025 governorship election. The petitioners are the Action Alliance Party, the Accord Party, and of course the PDP, and its candidate as were remade Wadalo. The 3-man panel of justices observed that in the case of the Action Alliance Party, the petitioner and his candidate, Tom Isehogi Okoji, lacked the local standing to file their case, as the justices determined that the issues raised are pre-election matters that should have been filed before the Federal High Court within 14 days. There was also a dispute over whether Adekunle Omaje is the party's rightful national chairman, legally empowered to submit the name of his candidate to INEC. Furthermore, the AS Tom Isegogi Ukeje had withdrawn from the election few days to the time, adding more confusion to the party's case. In the case of the Accord Party, the deputy governorship candidate had based his case on his picture not appearing on the ballot, following withdrawal of the party's governorship candidate. But this was dismissed due to lack of proof. Also for the PDP, they could also not prove their case. However, they have said they are going to appeal the case. On Nigeria Today, we shall be analyzing the judgments so far and what potentially comes next for the incumbent governor and the petitioners. Welcome to Nigeria Today. I'm Eucharia Clinton. Joining me in the studio to discuss the Election Petition Tribunal's verdict is Ahmed Tanimu Abubakar. He's a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. You're welcome to Nigeria Today.
Thank you for having me.
Also joining us via Zoom is Jide Ojo. He's also a public affairs analyst. It's good to have you on Nigeria Today, Jide.
My pleasure, Eucharia. Happy New Month.
Thank you so much. Now, Jide, you've had, of course, the judgments of the 3 petitions so far. I want to get your reaction to these judgments.
Okay. My immediate reaction would be that this is not totally unexpected. Don't forget that this election petition is sui generis and very technical. And if to ordinary layman, you may say, oh, how did the tribunal arrive at this decision and all of that? But having observed election from 1999, I know without any fear of equivocation that it's very difficult to prove electoral fraud. I will refer our viewers to Section 135 of the Section 135 sub 1 of the Electoral Act 2022, which says that elections shall not be invalidated unless there is substantial non-compliance. So what is at stake are there irregularities? Are there infractions? There could be. But if they are not substantial enough, the tribunal will not invalidate the election. That's number one. Number two is that because it's a criminal allegation, he who alleges must prove. And there are 2 ingredients that you have to use to prove your case. One, you have to provide exhibits or evidence, and then you have to provide witnesses to lead those evidences. And each of the witnesses are going to be cross-examined by both the petitioner and the respondent. The other point that we need to emphasize is that in election petition, you don't make sweeping generalization. Oh, there was fraud, there was overvoting, there was violence. You have to say exactly which polling unit, which ward, which local government. For instance, in Edo State, and I was a live witness to that election of September 21, 2024. I was there in Benin. So it's an election that I'm not talking of what was said. I was a live observer there. You have to prove polling unit by polling unit, ward by ward. So in this election, PDP is alleging fraud in about 390-something polling units out of 4,000 plus. You can see the difference. 4,000 plus polling units, you are alleging fraud in about 390-something, and then you provide 19 witnesses. And out of these 19 witnesses, only 5 of them were actually party agents. Other 14, the 14 others whose name was brought before the tribunal were just people who rely on third-party statement like hearsay. And it has been settled in electoral jurisprudence that the whole essence of having party agents is that so that it can strengthen your case. If you say there was election fraud, and you are now bringing people who are not party agents, how then can their evidences be credible? So you can see that there is no way the PDP could have won based on all these statistics I've provided. There were 4,000 plus polling units. There were 18 local governments, over 300 wards, 4,000 plus polling units. Now you are alleging fraud in less than 10%. You are saying there was fraud in 390-something polling units. Then you now brought 19 witnesses. Out of those 19 witnesses, only 5 were party agents. The 14 others rely on hearsay. They said there was, and even at the situation room of PDP, when the election was conducted, they have their own situation room. By their own result that they collated, they admitted that APC won, but that the margin of victory was not wide enough to be declared winner. But you now went to the tribunal to say the tribunal should declare you winner. When you yourself, even by the result of your situation room, show that APC won by 4,000 plus votes, you now said, oh, okay, the 40,000 they said APC won, which was...
Thank you very much, Jide. We'll come back to you on some of the issues raised. Now, Tanimu, Jide had mentioned, of course, the petitioners had mentioned corruption, sure, and some of them election malpractice. Sure. And of course, Jide had mentioned that, okay, you must be able to prove your case. Absolutely. Beyond reasonable doubt. What is that reasonable doubt that how can you prove it beyond reasonable doubt for you to have, to win the case? Okay,
let me make a distinction here. When you talk about crime, that is when beyond reasonable doubt will come in. When you are making allegation of crime, somebody has committed a crime, then the standard should be beyond reasonable doubt. But in election cases, it's been a balance of probability. The balance, it could be. So now if you want to know what a reasonable man test would be, is that if you put 10 sane people in this room and you present these evidences before them, if 9 of them will say that this election was free and fair, it matters not if one said it's not okay, or if the majority now will now take. That is the standard of testing the reasonability test, and that is what the court they normally do. So if you look at for a dual election, you see, at this point now, maybe I should put wear on the toga of a minister in the Temple of Justice. I want to speak on behalf of the judiciary. Judiciary, they don't have a public spokesperson that normally comes to NTA, and we are tired. The judiciary, they are tired of having every election matter to be determined by the court. But Nigerians have made it to be so. We've seen cases where the judiciary is coming hard on it will be litigants. There's the politician, because as far as they are concerned, if a matter is not tested, if an election is not the whole channel up to the appellate level, some will go as far as even making effort to attempt at going to the ECOWAS Community Court. I'll be shocked if some will equally make effort of going to United Nations. But this is appalling. We should be able to end election at the election venue. The judiciary should not be overburdened. It should not be at every point. It must be called upon. So now it's like a norm. The moment election is over, the next thing, election petition, is like a routine. Nobody even cares to know and look at what even the law provides. I like what Jide said. He said substantial non-compliance globally, in America, in UK, and every clime. Any election cannot be 100% free and fair in in an electronic means. The way you have your computer, what you key in is what you get out. Elections are not like that. Election involve human interaction, human involvement, involve machines, involve logistics. So the margin of error is allowed, that it should not be substantially that it will now negate the entire essence. So if you as a participant in an electionary process, you know that the issues that is before the court, or that is likely going to be presented before the court, are not of substantial nature. Why bedevil the court? We have the petition from the AC and the AA candidates. They are nowhere. They are not. They did not come second. One did not even participate actively. So why go to court? And part of the prayers, you see them making prayers that they want the election to be cancelled. They want to be declared. I think I'm saying that I'm wearing the toga to speak on their behalf. It is high time the judiciary should start fining both the lawyers and even the litigants huge amount of money, so that it will reduce we should change this norm that every election must be decided or must be determined by the court. Any politician that is serious about winning an election, the first thing he needs to do is to have his legal team. They should study the relevant provision of the law. Now they should now try to match facts with what the law provides. If you have agents, what you have now in the political parlance is that some of the agents, they don't even know what they are doing. They don't know why they are in the various polling units. Elections are conducted at the polling unit. It matters not if you have various wards in the local government and this figure is coming. It's what transpired. Every party are supposed to have agent representative. The work of that agent is to, now we have in our Evidence Act, you have section 84, 83. It talks about electronic evidences. There's nothing stopping you from even recording what is happening, but they don't care about it. Only for them to come with experts, and they think the expert will now sway the court. No, it's based on facts and figures.
Tanibu, I'll have to stop you here so that I will hear from Jide. Tanibu has said that now we have, of course, like he said, the court is tired of people running to court, even when they don't even have any reason to be in court. At what point do you think we can ever get to that point where after election everybody goes home to say, okay, we are all okay with this, with the election result?
Well, sincerely speaking, Keria, it has happened before. I recall when Kayode Fayemi was defeated by Ayo Fayoṣe in Ekiti State during his first term, and he was seeking re-election. Fayemi did not go to court. He didn't go to court. We have seen even the case in 2015 where President Goodluck Jonathan, and I think PDP too, did not go to court to challenge the victory of former President Muhammadu Buhari. In a number of other states, it has also happened that the petition, the loser will say, I congratulate the winner. But you see, politicians are special breed. Sometimes they know they will not win at the tribunal. But I tell you for free, it's a fundraising jamboree. How do I mean? They know they will not win, but they will use the opportunity to say, oh, we have folk, but we need 1 billion naira to hire senior advocates to do this, to do that. So they surreptitiously will start taxing their party members, particularly the chieftains, in order to raise money. That is one. Two, it's also like a placebo for their members, to placate their members. Oh, don't worry, this rigging, these laws will not be final. We are going to court. So they give false hopes to their supporters. I will not be surprised if tomorrow you see all manner of allegations being leveled against the tribunal judges. Because even, did you know that this tribunal judgment was or something was leaked, which was purportedly the tribunal, judgment, but it's ended up being a false alarm, and that's to tell you the level of desperation of average politician in Nigeria. Because in the one they claimed was leaked, it was a split decision of 2-1, but in the one that the tribunal gave this night, short while ago, it was unanimous decision. So, the desperation of our political class may not allow all of them to say, we are not going to court. We know we have lost. I was so shocked in the case of Ondo State election petition, where Agbola Ajayi of PDP still went to court to challenge the victory of the incumbent governor of Ondo State, Lucky Ayedatiwa, when he lost in all the local government. In all the local government, he did not even win his own local government. I mean, Agbola Ajayi. But he still went to tribunal. And now, because you want to have an alibi, that you see is INEC is working in cahoots with judiciary, you want to call a dog a bad name in order to hang it. Even when it is patently clear that this is a case, this is an equivalent task, this is an uphill task, they cannot stand judicial scrutiny. They will still go ahead and file petition. Look at a court party and Action Alliance. You said in your background that one person even withdrew ahead of the election. That same person is now going to tribunal to say it was unlawfully excluded. Can you beat that? Or somebody bringing pre-election matter to post-election matter, when you know, even without being a lawyer, if you have access to a copy of the Electoral Act, you can read the relevant section that says, these are the grounds with which you can bring pre-election matter. These are the grounds with which you can bring post-election matter. But you see, they have turned the judiciary to a kind of beast of nation, beast of burden, where they will just look for a whipping board and then say, oh, it's judiciary and INEC that robbed them of victory. Nigeria is just like what happened to Ross in school. When somebody did very well in an exam, he will say he passed. When he failed, he will say the teacher failed him, because they were just looking for who to blame. So I agree with my learned brother in the studio that there should be very severe punishment for filing of frivolous, matter, or particularly on election matter, because you yourself will know from the weight of evidence available to you and witnesses that you can marshal whether you have hope or you don't have hope in winning this election.
Thank you very much, Jide. Thank you very much, Jide. We are going to... Thank you very much, Jide. We are going to take a short break now. The conversation will continue after the break. Don't go away.
The implementation of the ruling is also dependent on another aspect or another arm of government.
Nowhere in the world will allow, under digital economy, for banks not to be dispensing domestic currency in that economy.
What will make this one different? We want to know what they do as occupation. All of these are attributes that are questions have been designed to investigate.
In a few days to come, you see that we are all around their own crannies and everywhere in Nigeria, telling people to cooperate.
Welcome to Nigeria Today.
Welcome back. In case you're just joining us, this is Nigeria Today, and we are looking at the Edo State Governorship Election Petition Tribunal Judgment. Yes, of course, I have two gentlemen, one here in the studio and one joining us via Zoom. Now, Ahmed, of course, you had a lot of things that Jide said.
Yeah, and I quite agree with you.
Now, let's talk about the judgment. PDP has said, okay, we're going to appeal.
Sure.
Are we expecting any surprises?
For me, I don't think we were expecting anything different. You know, when you are making an appeal, you want to now look at what the tribunal at the first instance, what they failed to do right. You are not bringing, even though so there are rooms where you can now bring in facts that are not within your knowledge or issues that might come. Well, it's very difficult. The ideal thing is that the people sitting at the judges at the tribunal, you must have presented all the facts that you have at your disposal, and based on their own where they have right to exercise discretion. Now you now talk about the reasonability test that I made describe that, okay, if 3 people can say this thing is right, the assumption is that it is right. So now they are taking it to a higher level, people that are more experienced, people that have seen a lot of this, and they now looking at it from a different viewpoint to see if those people beneath them have done what they ought to have done rightly. And in this case, you don't need to be a lawyer. We've seen the facts. You are complaining of electoral fraud, and you cannot even show anything. The evidences you are presenting, even within themselves, they know. If you visit if you participate in any electoral tribunal, when you call their witnesses, some they are not there, some they tell they are experts, and they are still member of the political party. I'm just giving an example. And all the evidence will go to no issue because you have made allegation. If you made allegation of crime, it's beyond reasonable doubt. You must show evidence. You were there, you saw it, you have documents to show, you recorded it on your camera. It can be tendered. You just need to follow the certification requirement in the Evidence Act. Yes, I was there on this time, and I used my phone to record the manipulation I saw. So you see, it goes beyond appealing. It goes beyond going to tribunal. Politicians now should now do more in terms of sensitization, in terms of being proactive. If you know you are very capable, you are strong, and the chances of winning is 50-50, it means you should do more in terms of strengthening your legal team. You are not only getting SANS and other lawyers at the end of the election process. You should be proactive so that you have agents that will be educated, that they will have time to train them, that these are the specificity of what you should look out for before you endorse on any document. If you are not comfortable, raise an alarm. Do this, do this. You see, they are well guided. Yeah, how you're guided. You record all these things that is happening. So if you are saying there's fraud in my polling unit, you should be able to now say, yes, at so time, certain number of people came from this particular party, and we know them to be associates of the winner of the election. So you can prove it too. Then you are having evidence while you were there. So if you go to the tribunal, I was there. I participated as an agent. I saw Mrs. Ukeria, I saw Jide Ojo coming with talk, and they were there doing what they did.
Which of course we
didn't come. No, at this time around I'm showing evidence, live evidence that is uncontrovertible. Then you don't expect the judge to rule anything different. They will now say, yes, there are elements of truth in what you have said. Now they will now go to the other leg. Is this substantial enough? If it happened in just 2-3 polling unit, you cannot use that as a basis to say you want to now discard and discontinue the entire electioneering that took place. It has to be substantial, maybe like quarter a hand. That one that the margin now between the two parties and that particular incident can affect the margin. Then the tribunal will now. So appeal naturally will not change anything significantly. You look at especially now that you're having a unanimous decision of all the members. There are 3 people in the tribunal, and the idea of having odd number is that at least the 2 constitute the majority. Then in the situation you have the 3 giving the same ruling, then I think it will be difficult for the appeal for the decision to be set aside.
Tanimu, I was about asking that is it not wise for these crop of politicians to be kind of educated before they go to court? But funny enough, some of them are even lawyers.
Sure.
Some of these politicians are lawyers, and they make these mistakes.
It's not mistake, it's deliberate. Jide just gave you the reason behind it. You create flexible, false information and false information. They know what they are doing.
Thank you very much. This is where we'll wrap it up for today's episode of Nigeria Today. A very big thank you to Ahmed Tanimu Abubakar, a legal practitioner and a public affairs analyst. Thank you for your insights.
Thank you for having me.
And also, we had Jide Ojo that joined us via Zoom. He's a public affairs analyst. Thank you for your perspective, Jide.
It's my pleasure. Tanimu Baka the Salah in Arias.
Kind of Salah.
And thank you for being part of the program. Remember, Nigeria Today is every weekday at 7:30 p.m. on NTA News 24. You can also check out this episode and others on www.youtube.com/NTA News 24 Hub. I am the carrier, Clinton. Goodbye.